Right now at 5, a federal judge strikes down a ban on gender-affirming care in Arkansas.
We've got ourselves another hot day across the 4 states, and at least some of us may see some rain showers. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
And it was 620 Day in Pittsburgh yesterday. We look at how the city celebrated.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So pretty mild this morning. It's going to be another hot one. We're going to have a few more clouds out there, but despite the clouds, it's going to still get hot. And the clouds, you know, in the wintertime we talked about, they act like a thermal blanket. They help keep warmer air in the wintertime, which we like. Unfortunately, they do the same thing in the summer, which means we got a pretty mild evening ahead of us as well. We also have some thunderstorms out to our west, so this is something we've been just keeping an eye on. That's a severe thunderstorm watch just to the west of Wichita, some stronger storms out there. Now, we're not anticipating any strong or severe weather in our area, but these are the storms that, so long as they hold together a little bit, will eventually get into parts of Elk and Chautauqua counties later this afternoon. But again, no strong or severe storms. So what does that look like down the road? We go into the afternoon, evening hours, there they are, and right about where we said they'd be, right in Elk and Chautauqua County. Could get a stray shower over toward Coffeyville, Independence, but most of the activity is going to be confined out there and in the parts of Washington and Craig counties in northeast Oklahoma. So that's what we've got for us, at least for today. MoDOT camera 20th and range line looking good so far. And same from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 5 20th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh. Our camera at 7th and range line, well, it's dark. It's still early, but we have those clear skies. 67 in Joplin right now. Dew point humidity up there, just like yesterday, and it's going to be a bit uncomfortable out there. As we look around the region, we've got 65 Nevada, 64 Fort Scott, cool spot, 63 in Nevada, sitting at 72 Neodesha is one of the warm spots out there. 67 Miami, Neosho, Carthage, Monette, and 66 in Lamar. We get our day started. We'll initially start with those clear skies and with those storms out west. We'll start to see clouds overspreading. We'll have increasing cloud cover, but still warm, going mid-80s by late morning. We head into the afternoon, highs again in the low 90s. Now, I've put these little thunderstorm icons on here, but again, this is really for Elk, Chautauqua counties, Washington counties out there. So the majority of us will be partly to mostly cloudy and hot, low 90s, but those thunderstorms will start kicking in a little bit later. Remember what I said about that thermal blanket? Yeah, we're going to be near 70 tonight. Clouds begin to clear, partly cloudy, but look at this. We hold on to much warmer temperatures as we head later into the evening. We do have some additional rain chances in our forecast. We'll take a look at that full forecast here in just a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. An Arkansas judge strikes down the state's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender minors. The judge ruled it as unconstitutional, and it's the first ruling to overturn such a prohibition as a growing number of Republican-led states adopt similar restrictions. U.S. District Judge Jay Moody issues a permanent injunction against the Arkansas law, which would have prohibited doctors from providing gender-affirming hormone treatment, puberty blocker, or surgery to anyone under 18. The law also would have prohibited doctors from referring patients elsewhere for such care. Arkansas's ban was the first in the nation of its kind. In Moody's order, he ruled that the prohibition violated the due process and equal protection rights of transgender youth and families. He said the law also violated the First Amendment rights of medical providers by prohibiting them from referring patients elsewhere. Ruling affects only the Arkansas ban, but may carry implications for the fates of similar prohibitions or discourage attempt to enact them in other states. A constitutional amendment proposal to restore abortion rights in Missouri will move forward. On Tuesday, a judge broke a standoff between two Republican officials that had halted the process. The judge ordered Attorney General Andrew Bailey to approve fellow Republican auditor Scott Fitzpatrick's estimated $51,000 price tag on the proposal within 24 hours. Bailey argued it would cost the state as much as $1 million times more because of lost Medicaid funding or revenue that would not be collected from people who otherwise would be born. If approved by voters, the proposal would enshrine in the state constitution the individual right to make decisions about abortion, childbirth, and birth control. Kansas officials have agreed not to enforce a new restriction on medication abortions. The restrictions will not be enforced for at least 5 weeks. State court judge will eventually decide a lawsuit challenging the restriction and other existing rules. For now, providers will not have to tell patients that they can stop a medication abortion using a regimen that providers and major medical groups consider unproven and potentially dangerous. The new rule was set to take effect July 1st. Well, the Carthage Water and Electric Plant Board says the City Council's decision to dissolve the board is unlawful. The council held an emergency meeting last Thursday to remove the board members from their positions. Council says the board violated a city ordinance that regulates the authority of the board to create employee positions and assign salaries. On Monday, the board released a statement saying they believe the decision was unlawful and that they will remain in their positions. You can find more information on the dispute on our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, it's party time in Pittsburgh. On Tuesday, the community celebrated 620 Day, as in the area code and the date. And one of the main attractions was a block party in the area of 2nd and Broadway. It included food, music, vendors, a car show, and more along the street and inside the Pritchett Pavilion.
It's 620 Day. It's June 20th, and today in Pittsburgh we are celebrating with lots of deals and specials and activities throughout the day at local businesses, and we are ending and capping off the day with a downtown block party.
Officials say the purpose of the event is to cultivate pride and celebrate the Pittsburgh community. More than 15 businesses on Broadway and the surrounding area also joined the 620 celebration yesterday afternoon. Pittsburgh stores offered deals from 20% off to buy one, get one half off, and some even chose to price their items at a certain rate. You guessed it, $6.20.
To give people the opportunity to try something they might not try at full price. For instance, acai. It's one of those items that people aren't sure if they want. They don't necessarily want to spend $10 to get one. So today we have them for $6.20, and we have sold a lot.
Business owners also said the event increased their sales for the day, like she just said. And that's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, we take a look at Webb City's youth football camp known as Hog Pride. Plus, we meet a man who was denied becoming an Eagle Scout, all due to his race when he was younger, but decades later, finally gets to become one. And why taking daytime naps may be good for your brain. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
Well, being an offensive or defensive lineman is often a thankless job. You put in a lot of work, but don't get the highlights or accolades of a quarterback, wide receiver, or linebacker. But at Webb City High School, being a lineman is not only appreciated, it's also got a lot of prestige behind it. Yesterday, the Cardinals began teaching the next generation of Webb City linemen at their Hog Pride Youth Camp. Over 150 campers were in attendance, performing various drills under the instruction of Webb City players and coaches, along with Tristan Colin, who participated in this camp as a child before playing in the NFL today.
You know, we've been fortunate to have a lot of Division I offensive and defensive linemen come through here, and we like to bring up that tradition to our kids and talk about, you know, all the, you know, the undersized kids that maybe didn't have a lot of expectations to them and how they've developed throughout their junior high and high school career, and they get a chance to go play in college and then a chance to play in the NFL maybe.
These kids, they be talking to me, you know, I hear about a Chief joke every other joke here and there, but no, it's great. So, you know, I love coming back, especially I live here with my fiance with 3 beautiful babies, so, you know, love being home.
Now to local baseball. Yesterday evening, the Joplin Outlaws broke their 4-game losing streak by taking down the Des Moines Peak Prospects in Game 1 of a doubleheader. So that means a chance to start a winning streak in just 1 day. And the Outlaws end up winning both ends of the doubleheader. Each win is also an identical score of 6-3. Brett Serwinski from Pitt State helped out with a hit, a run, and an RBI in Game 2. Outlaws are back within 3 games of first place in the Mink League's South Division. And still ahead, looking for something cute this morning? Well, how about this? We'll have, we got it in the form of a 12-centimeter vampire deer. We'll have more on that in World Watch. Plus, We got another check of that forecast and warm weather and maybe even some rain chances when the KOAM Morning News returns. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. It is now 5:15 on this Wednesday morning. I almost said Tuesday. We don't want to go back in time. We've got this complex of thunderstorms out here west of I-35 to the west of Wichita, and that flashing orange there, that is a severe thunderstorm watch, again, west of I-35, and so we don't really have to worry necessarily about that. We're not anticipating any strong or severe thunderstorms today, but this is the activity that will eventually give at least Elk and Chautauqua County some thunderstorm chances later today. So let's go down the road again, and we'll show you as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Right there, right on cue almost, there's those thunderstorm chances. Elk and Chautauqua County might get a little into Montgomery County and parts of northeast Oklahoma, and then they'll move. That first batch moves out, and a little bit of redevelopment out there, and then that dies out as we head later into tonight. So again, that's really going to be to our west. However, we'll get cloud cover off of that activity later. MoDOT camera 20th and range line looks good. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue. Our camera, a little bit of light out there now. We got those clear skies, mild 67. Dew point up there, humidity up there. So again, like yesterday, not oppressively hot, but it's going to be uncomfortable for sure. 64, Fort Scott, 67, Pittsburgh, 63 in Iola is the cool spot. Warm spots, Neodesha at 72, 71, Independence, Parsons, and 67, Miami, Chautauqua, Neosho, Carthage, Monette, lots of 67s. We're going to start off clear. Then we'll start to see increasing cloud cover from that activity out west, go mostly cloudy by late morning, but that doesn't stop our temperatures from climbing back into the upper 80s and lower 90s across the area. These thunderstorm chances really for Elk and Chautauqua County, but I don't want to forget our counties out to the west. The rest of us will be partly to mostly cloudy through the day and still hot. We go into the low 90s, upper 80s again. Then this evening, here's the problem. In the wintertime, as we discussed earlier, the clouds act like a thermal blanket. Well, they do that in the summertime too, and until they start to break up a bit, it keeps us toasty heading into the late evening hours, as you can see, but we eventually go partly cloudy overnight, and we see those lows drop back into the upper 60s, near 70s, so still quite mild. Partly cloudy tomorrow, upper 80s, some isolated thunderstorm chances for us Friday, and then a few more scattered storms possible this weekend. The good news is, at least temperatures hanging out in the low 90s. We're not looking at reaching up there to near 100 yet, but June and summer just getting underway, as today is the first official day of summer. So, you know, it's the 4 states. We'll have to wait and see what Mother Nature throws at us. Hopefully, Mother Nature throws us some additional rainfall. Well, a man was denied Boy Scouts' highest honor 60 years ago because of his race. Now, 75-year-old Sam Jones of Washington State has gotten his due with a court of honor. Cornelius Hawker reports.
Sam Jones has waited more than 60 years.
Where am I sitting?
Where would you like to sit?
To sit in the Eagle Scout Court of Honor, a recognition with duties he plans to uphold.
I will.
In the crowd supporting Sam, his daughter, Akila.
There are things that I'm learning this weekend in spending all this time with him that I didn't even know.
Akila never knew her father, at the age of 15, wasn't allowed to participate in this ceremony for Eagle Scouts. A white Scout leader told him he did not come from a model African-American home, raised in public housing by a single mom.
It's difficult because even still today, how do you process that? How do you process that?
I literally just shut down on it. I didn't try to figure it out. I didn't try to study it. I didn't try to fight for it.
But the lessons Sam learned in Boy Scouts stuck with him throughout his life. Countless people speaking about how the boy who didn't come from a model home became a role model for them.
I love this man. He is an example to me and my family and countless others.
And finally, the moment that should have happened all those years ago.
I have Grandma's hams, so I'll use Grandma's hams.
I would have never dreamt this. I just never really dreamt it.
Sam Jones standing proudly as an Eagle Scout for the world to see.
Now, Jones served in Vietnam and was awarded a Meritorious Service Medal. He later retired as a naval commander. That brings us to our question for you today. Were you ever in the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts? Yes or no? Well, we certainly want to hear from you. Make sure you take time to vote at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. You can also do so in our app and take part in the discussion on our Facebook page. We will return with Health Watch right after this.
We're excited now.
Project Today, the finishing touch, downtown Pittsburgh.
Topping Health Watch this morning, the U.S. Preventative Services Task Force now recommends that adults ages 19 to 64 in the U.S. be screened for anxiety disorders. The task force is a group of independent medical experts whose recommendations help guide doctors' decisions and influence insurance plans. Its recommendation was published in the medical journal JAMA. It marks the first time the USPSTF has made a final recommendation on screening for anxiety disorders in adults. The task force found insufficient evidence to recommend screening for anxiety in older adults. The group continues to recommend that all adults be screened for major depressive disorder. Well, here's some news you can sleep on. Taking daytime naps may help maintain brain health as we age. That's according to a new study published Monday in the journal Sleep Health. Researchers from University College London and the University of the Republic of Uruguay say habitual napping was linked with larger total brain volume. That in turn is associated with a lower risk of dementia and other diseases. Researchers say on average, the difference in brain volume between nappers and non-nappers was equivalent to 2.5 to 6.5 years of aging. However, prior research has shown that excess napping can also be harmful and could even be a sign of dementia. Eating healthy can be a struggle year-round, but especially over the summer when kids are out of school and routines are disrupted. Mandy Gaither has ideas for some healthy summer snacks for kids.
More time at home may mean less time focusing on healthy eating habits.
Kids need 3 meals and 2 to 3 snacks per day. So our job as the caregiver is really to set that routine and what that looks like for our children.
Dietitian Catherine Sherry says keeping kids healthy over the summer should start at the grocery store. Let children be a part of the process, allowing them to pick out which fruits or veggies they'd like to eat. When it comes to snacks, Sherry says pair them with at least 2 different food groups.
Having a trail mix with a piece of fruit. So we've got some protein and then we've got the fiber in the fruit. Having some popcorn, maybe with some edamame. We've got the fiber with the popcorn and we've got some protein with that edamame.
Other ideas, freeze-dried fruit and some peanut butter crackers, yogurt, fruit, and some crunchy cereal so they can make their own yogurt parfait. A hard-boiled egg and cheese is a great high-protein snack, or some hummus, veggies, and crackers to dip.
All those snacks are well-rounded that have fiber, protein, and help to keep your kiddo fuller longer.
Meals should continue being balanced too. Sherry says to fill half the plate with fruits and veggies, the other half with protein and whole grains. And finally, make sure your child stays hydrated. Offer water throughout the day.
Ensuring that we're not drinking too much of the sodas, the juices, the Gatorades that have a lot of sugar in them.
The dietitian says allowing kids to fill up a snack basket in the pantry or a drawer in the fridge will allow them to know where to grab healthy snacks and may make them more likely to want to eat them. She says letting them help chop and prepare food can also help make meal or snack time more exciting. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
And we've got ourselves another hot one today. We'll see increasing clouds and maybe even a couple of thunderstorms in our far western counties, but that doesn't stop us from heating up. We'll take another look at that forecast when we come back.
So while you're there, grab a burger or hot dog. Check us out at ourbest.com.
Right now at 5:30, we'll show you how businesses in Pittsburgh prepared for the town's celebration of 620 Day.
And we've got ourselves a clear start for the morning, but increasing clouds, some storms out west, and another hot one. We'll take a look at your first day of summer forecast coming up.
And the Langston Hughes Society gives folks a lesson on the poet's ties to the Joplin community.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 5:29. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we got a mild start to the day. We got clear skies for now, but we're going to have increasing clouds as the morning goes on. And we've even got a couple of thunderstorm chances. We've been mentioning it the last couple of days. I mean, it's really specific to Elk and Chautauqua counties. The rest of us, though, just dealing with cloudy skies and hot weather out there. So let's take a look at Skywatch Storm Tracker. So out to our west by Wichita, just west of Wichita, there is a severe thunderstorm watch, and there are some thunderstorms out there. Now, no warnings with these storms right now. And the good news, at least from our end, is we're not anticipating for Elk and Chautauqua County at least any strong or severe thunderstorms out of this activity. We'll keep an eye on it just in case, but this is what will eventually, as it continues to roll to the southeast, clip Elk and Chautauqua counties later today. So what does that look like on the future track? Well, let's go down the road and take a look in time. We'll see the increasing clouds across the area, and then later this afternoon and evening we'll see those thunderstorms out to the west. We could get a few in other parts of southeast Kansas, but the majority of the activity is going to be focused out there, and then parts of northeast Oklahoma as well. The rest of us just dealing with some cloudy skies, so unfortunately not widespread rain, even though we really need it. That's just not what's expected to happen here. MoDOT camera 20th and range line. We're looking good as we get a little more daylight out there. Same from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue south of Pittsburgh. Our camera 7th and range line. Clear skies for now. We're set at 67 in Joplin. Dew point humidity up there again. And like yesterday, it's not going to be oppressive dew points or humidity, but just enough to make it uncomfortable in an already hot day. All right, we got 62 as the cool spot up there in Iola, 63 Fort Scott, 68 Pittsburgh. Neodesha still hanging on as one of the warmer spots at 72, 66 Chetopa, Miami, and sitting at 68 in Neosho. So we get our day started. Again, we start with those sunny skies. We'll start to see clouds increase through the morning, go mostly cloudy, but still hot, mid-80s by late morning. Highs today, upper 80s, low 90s once again. We'll have those thunderstorm chances, again, specifically for Elk and Chautauqua counties. Those will wrap up about 9 o'clock tonight, and it'll leave us warm through the evening and a mild overnight, partly cloudy and into the upper 60s. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. On Tuesday, several Pittsburgh businesses got in on the 620 celebration. KOAM's Fernanda Silva has the story.
Christina O'Burley is already familiar with 620, but this year working on the event is different for her.
We just opened our downtown building at the end of August last year, and instead of doing our food truck tonight, we wanted to touch on the storefront and what we've done here in Pittsburgh and the uniqueness we've brought to the town.
Besides the opportunity to bring in customers, 620 is also a way for businesses to give back to the community.
I just like to do anything that I can reach out to our community and help out in any way. You know, it's important being part of the downtown.
The downtown is growing and growing and growing, and the city and the community support is, you can't even put any words to it.
More than 15 businesses joined the celebration. Pittsburgh stores offered deals to residents and visitors, from 20% off to buy one, get one half off. O'Burley chose to price items at a certain rate. You guessed it, $6.20.
Special price today, $6.76. To give people the opportunity to try something they might not try at full price. For instance, acai. It's one of those items that people aren't sure if they want. They don't necessarily want to spend $10 to get one.
Inspired by other cities across the country, Pittsburgh found an opportunity to encourage shopping local, especially during the summer.
For our downtown retailers and for our local businesses, summer is a little bit of a slow time in Pittsburgh. And so we want to encourage folks to shop local and support local businesses, and we use 620, our area code, as kind of a rallying point to get everybody to participate.
In Pittsburgh, Fernanda Silva, KOAM News.
Clara says that the day for her is also a way to recognize how the community has grown. On Tuesday, the Langston Hughes Cultural Society gave people a lesson on the famed poet's ties to Joplin. Society hosted a presentation by historian Bill Martin, who is researching the site of a now demolished Joplin home that Hughes was born in 1901. Now, the site was demolished in the 1950s, but still holds cultural significance to the city.
The connection with the Kansas Historical Society and everyone else that's done research never came to Joplin. And I made the connection. If you Google Joplin Moe, you'll bring up Carrie Hughes, and she tells the stories. So that's what I'm doing tonight.
A team of archaeologists from Missouri Southern will conduct a geophysical survey at the site to search for clues about the home. Well, Turnaround Ranch in Joplin unveiled its newest addition, the Hope Cottage. It took 13 months to build, and officials say it's one of the most sleek and modern residential treatment facilities for children in Missouri. Hope Cottage resembles a single-family home and is meant to provide a safe and comfortable place to live for kids ages 13 to 18. Each resident has their own bedroom, along with individual use bathrooms.
Is for our kids to be able to live in a less restricted environment, a home environment. And so we want to build an environment that looks very similar to that. So single occupancy rooms, the access of many different amenities that we would have in our own homes. And so having that is able to help them kind of get used to that idea of going back home and to being in that environment.
2 additional cottages are planned, one this year and another next year. Fireworks sales began in Missouri on Tuesday, and they will start soon in Kansas ahead of the 4th of July holiday. And sales will begin in Kansas a week from yesterday, actually. Fireworks stores and fire departments are getting ready for fireworks season. And this time of year comes with a need to be informed about how to safely display the fireworks you purchase. Each city has its own ordinances about setting off fireworks, but there are also some things to keep in mind no matter where you are.
Small children, I would have them indoors, and I would at least double the distance away from the fireworks if you don't have any place to take shelter indoors where they can watch them in a safe area.
So I think sparklers are a good one, especially when you're starting out. Stuff where you can light back up and let them watch. That's really how you stay safe with it. Obviously, don't let them light it.
You can find more safety tips on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com or by downloading the KOAM News app. You can also read the fireworks ordinances for Joplin and Pittsburgh.
Something to point out, don't set off large fireworks on tables.
Do you know this from experience?
Yeah. We had a really cool firework that we saved for last. We put it up on a table so it'd be higher. When it went off with enough force, it flipped the table.
Ooh.
It fell off and then began shooting these things back at the house.
Oh.
There was panic and an evacuation. So just be safe when you're setting off fireworks this year, or maybe just go watch a show. It's a lot safer.
There you go. Well, this morning we're discussing a man who was denied being an Eagle Scout due to his race.
Sam Jones has waited 62 years to sit in the Eagle Scout Court of Honor, a recognition with duties he plans to uphold. In the crowd supporting Sam was his daughter, Akila.
Akila never knew her father. At the age of 15, wasn't allowed to participate in this ceremony for Eagle Scouts. The White Scout leader told him he did not come from a model African American home. Raised in public housing by a single mother, Akila's grandma. However, Sam became an inspiration for many people despite being told otherwise, and now he stands proudly as an Eagle Scout.
And that brings us to our question for you this morning. Were you ever in the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts? So far, 58% of you say that you were, 42% of you say that you were not, and of course you've been a Scout leader for quite some time. I never was. I always thought it was pretty neat, but I just never was. So make sure you take time to vote. Tell us if you were or not, and participate in the discussion on our Facebook page.
I've been a Girl Scout leader, and now a Boy Scout leader.
All right.
Yeah.
So you've got this down.
Well, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, engineers in Switzerland develop underwater robots to help with dangerous search and rescue operations.
Plus, the Tate brothers are indicted in Romania. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. But first, there's a live look from Schifferdecker Park in Joplin in honor of Go Skateboarding Day. It's today's National Day. Topping World Watch, Beijing and Havana are reportedly discussing a joint military training facility in Cuba, and the U.S. has deep concerns about it. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says he made that very clear during his meetings in Beijing this week. Sources familiar with the intelligence say China and Cuba are nearing a deal, but no agreement has been reached yet. The military facility would potentially host hundreds of Chinese troops. Some in the intelligence community see it as a response to military activity in Taiwan, which is the same distance from mainland China as Cuba is from Florida. A Korean man attempted to open a plane door mid-air on a flight from the Philippines to South Korea. Officials from Jeju Air say the 19-year-old began to act strangely an hour into the flight, and flight attendants moved him to the front row of the plane close to the exit door so they could monitor him. That's their mistake. That's when the man ran towards the door and attempted to open it. Fortunately, the door stayed closed. No one was hurt, and the man was handed over to police after the flight landed. Incident comes barely a month after a passenger actually managed to open a plane door on a Korean carrier. French authorities raided the 2024 Paris Olympics headquarters Tuesday. Police also raided the headquarters of Solideo, the public body responsible for much of the construction and infrastructure around the Paris 2024 Games. French national prosecutors say the raids were tied to two preliminary investigations into financial improprieties with contracts and public funds. Paris 2024 spokesperson said it is fully cooperating with investigators in the alleged corruption probe. Next year's Olympic Games are set to start on July 26th and run through August 11th. Infamous social media star Andrew Tate proudly proclaims himself to be a misogynist influencer. He'll now have a chance to plead in a court of law. Tate, his brother, and the two Romanian women were indicted in Bucharest on Tuesday for human trafficking, rape, and gang-related charges and face a court hearing just a few hours from now. Salma Abdelazaz has the story.
I do believe, if I had to predict the future, that they will charge me.
Another chapter in the saga of divisive social media influencer Andrew Tate. Now he, his brother, and two female Romanian citizens have been indicted in Romania. Prosecutors say the charges are human trafficking, rape, and setting up a criminal gang. The Tate brothers and the women have been under house arrest during the criminal investigation for alleged abuses against 7 women, accusations they have denied. But who is this self-proclaimed misogynist? Back in 2016, Andrew Tate found his first claim to notoriety when he was removed from the British reality TV show Big Brother, with no public reason given.
You learn a lot more by being quiet.
In the years since, Tate turned his attention to online creation, where he shot to internet fame, racking up at least 11.6 billion views on TikTok, mostly for his views on masculinity, gender roles, and wealth.
I don't think the world has ever been equal. I'm saying that the modern society we live in has been built by men. All the roads you see, all the buildings you see, everything around you, men built.
Like this video, where the former kickboxer speaks about his version of so-called equality.
Who had a completely different role.
Tate's rhetoric prompted concern from critics about his influence on teenage boys, before being suspended by most major social media networks last August for violating their policies. Controversies around Tate and his brother slowly became a legal issue as Romanian prosecutors pursued claims of human trafficking and rape. Just before his December arrest, Tate became embroiled in a Twitter spat with Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg over his car's emission.
I'm not actually mad at Greta. Please bring me pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled.
Now, as the brothers await trial, Tate's Twitter has since been reinstated, with more than 6.9 million followers reading his every word. Commentators wonder whether it may take more than a clever tweet to change the tide. Salma Abdelaziz, CNN, London.
The World Economic Forum estimates that it will take more than another century for women to achieve parity with men. According to the organization's Global Gender Gap Report for 2023, the current rate, it will be the year 2154 until true gender equality is reached worldwide. Experts blame the pandemic as well as economic and geopolitical crises for holding back women's progress in education, in the workplace, and at home. The country closest to reaching true gender equality is Iceland, whereas the U.S. ranked number 43. Well, these may be the cutest vampires you've ever seen. They're called vampire deer. 4 of them, hopefully we'll have video here. There we go. Just 3 weeks old, are being cared for at the Whipsnade Zoo in UK. The species is called vampire because it has a set of sharp fangs. Now, the babies, all females, measured less than 5 inches at birth. They weighed about 14 ounces, about the same as a can of soda. They've doubled in size since they were born earlier this month. They are kept in a sheltered, protected space because they're still small enough for large birds to carry off. Zookeepers are hand rearing them around the clock. The small spotted fawns will eventually be moved to their new home at the London Zoo. So cute. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, now 5:48 on this Wednesday morning, halfway through the week. We have these thunderstorms out to our west. You can see they're pretty far to our west. We now have some new severe thunderstorm warnings on the southern edge of this line, and we have that severe thunderstorm watch in the orange, but it's still west of I-35. These storms are the ones that eventually will give some shower chances to Elk and Chautauqua counties as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. At this point, we're not anticipating them to still be strong or severe when they get here, but we'll keep an eye on it just in case. You know how Mother Nature is. Sometimes she likes to throw us a wild card. As we go to the afternoon and evening, there's those storms in Elk and Chautauqua County. Could make it into parts of Montgomery County as well, and even into parts of northeastern Oklahoma, but most of us are going to remain dry. The biggest thing that we're going to get out of this is some additional cloud cover, and that's going to be about it, unfortunately. MoDOT camera 20th and range line. We're looking good so far this morning, getting some daylight out there as well from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue, just south of Pittsburgh. Our camera at 7th and range line, showing some of that extra daylight out there as the sun slowly starts to come up. We're mild, 67, dew point, humidity, both up there, and like they've been the last couple of days, they're not going to be overly oppressive, but just enough to make it slightly more miserable outside as we go into the hot afternoon. Cool spot still sitting at 62 in Iola. 72 is one of the warm spots there in Neodesha. 71 Parsons, 67 Pittsburgh, 64 Chautauqua, Miami, and 68 in Neosho and Monette. We get our morning started. We'll have those sunny skies initially. Clouds will build in from that activity out west. We'll go mostly cloudy later today. Mid-80s still by late morning. Highs still warm. Upper 80s, low 90s. These thunderstorm icons again really for Elk and Chautauqua County, but we don't want to forget about them. Those storms will wrap up by about 9 o'clock tonight, and because of the cloud cover, that will act as a blanket, keeping the rest of us somewhat more mild as we go through the evening, and eventually partly cloudy overnight, dropping back into the upper 60s near 70. Upper 80s tomorrow, partly cloudy. We got isolated thunderstorm chances Friday, slightly better storm chances as we go into Saturday evening and into Sunday, and we'll hold on to the low 90s through the weekend and as we kick off the next work week. We'll be back with more after this, but first we got another live look from Schifferdecker Park in Joplin in honor of Go Skateboarding Day.
Just east of Joplin.
Underwater drones could soon replace human divers in search and rescue operations that are too difficult or risky. Chris DeMeo reports.
Divers often put their lives on the line during search and rescue operations, but a startup in Switzerland is hoping its new technology will help keep them out of harm's way in situations that are too dangerous. Tethys Robotics has developed an autonomous underwater vehicle. The company says its diving robot can be deployed in places too risky for human divers, like fast-moving rivers, channels, or tidal waters.
We focus really on the most challenging conditions. We at Tethys Robotics developed this next generation underwater drone, which focuses on compactness.
The diving robot comes with cameras and acoustic sensors that can scan large areas and hone in on people or objects. There are two options when it comes to operating the robot: completely autonomously or through virtual reality, giving its operator a live view of the underwater environment.
You have both basically visual information and acoustic information displayed as a 3D map in real time for the operator. Or, of course, if you have an autonomous interface, it's much simpler. You just say, well, we need to search that area or inspect that kind of structure, and it does it for you, basically.
So what happens when the Tethys robot finds its target? Well, a human operator can take over from there to recover it or inspect it. The diving robot can carry up to 88 pounds back up to the surface.
That's pretty cool. The company says its underwater robot, has already been used in several underwater search and rescue operations in Switzerland. We'll be right back.
At Denver Mattress.
One Florida county is under quarantine, but not the pandemic kind. This one is to combat giant African land snails. Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services says Broward County has established a quarantine and treatment area in response to the invasive creatures. Giant African land snails eat their way through stucco, plastic recycling bins, signs, and more than 500 species of plants. FDA CS has mapped out an area in the county where they will use bait that is approved for residential use after the snails were detected in the Miramar area. Well, feeling behind on time? Not to worry. Today is the summer solstice, the first day of summer and the longest day of the year. Grab your flip-flops and sunscreen and head to the beach because summer has officially begun. And you might be asking, what is the summer solstice? Well, today the Earth's North Pole is the closest it will be to the sun all year. And make sure you make the most of the day by fitting in some extra time outside. We're already feeling warmer, aren't we, Chris?
We are. Summer definitely setting in across the area as we will start with sunny skies and we'll see increasing clouds from thunderstorms out to our west. We'll go mid-80s by late morning. The clouds not keeping our temperatures down today as we still have upper 80s, low 90s. These thunderstorm chances really for Elk and Chautauqua counties in southeast Kansas. The rest of us hot and partly to mostly cloudy through the day. We'll remain partly to mostly cloudy through the evening. Storms out west wrap up about 9 o'clock or so. Overnight lows mild as we go back into the upper 60s near 70. Upper 80s tomorrow, partly cloudy. Some isolated thunderstorm chances possible Friday. It's when the lower 90s return. We hang on to those as we go through the weekend, start of next week. Some evening storms possible Saturday into Sunday morning, and then maybe some additional evening storms on Sunday. We go into next week, maybe some additional storms Wednesday and Thursday, but temperatures do begin to climb back through the mid to upper 90s for us. So summer really kicking in here in the 4 states. We'll be back with more right after this.
Right now at 6, Missouri may soon move toward restoring abortion rights in the state after a judge intervenes in a Republican standoff over the issue.
We've got ourselves a clear start to the day, clouds increasing, and we will still be hot, and maybe some thunderstorms out west on this first day of summer. We'll take a look at that forecast coming up.
And a demolished home in Joplin uncovers valuable clues about poet Langston Hughes and his ties to the Joplin area. Now a team of archaeologists will investigate.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. I'm Tanya Buck.
I'm Chris Warner. Just after 6 o'clock now on this Wednesday morning. We have made it halfway through the work week. Only a couple more days after this, but unfortunately this is the first day of summer. It's going to be hot. It's going to stay that way. It's already been hot. We don't need to have an official first day of summer for it to get hot, and it's toasty out there. We do have those thunderstorm chances, though, for Elk and Chautauqua counties. The Skywatch Storm Tracker showing that batch of strong, even severe thunderstorms out west of Wichita, and that orange box there is a severe thunderstorm watch, again, west of I-35, 35 and I-35. The good news is, at least at this point, these storms not expected to really fully survive, so we're not anticipating any stronger severe storms in Elk and Chautauqua County, but some of these storms will eventually make it into that area later today. So what does that look like down the road? Well, we have fancy technology here that'll show us. We go later to the afternoon, evening, we see those thunderstorms, again, Elk, Chautauqua County. Could get a few in parts of Montgomery County and into northeast Oklahoma, but the better rain chances again stay out there. And for the rest of us, unfortunately, no rain, just cloudy skies. MoDOT camera looks great. KDOT camera looking great so far. Same with our camera at 7th and Rangeline. Quick look at temperatures. We got 67 in Joplin. Clear skies again for now. Dew point humidity up there. Not oppressive, but enough to make it uncomfortable again today. 62 Fort Scott. Iola still the cool spot at 61. 70 as the warm spot in Neodesha. 68 Neosho and 66 Miami. We get our day started. We start clear. We go partly, mostly cloudy by mid-morning and into the mid-80s. And then through the day, upper 80s, low 90s for high. Thunderstorm chances out to our west for Elk and Chautauqua County. Again, the rest of us, unfortunately, dry. We do have additional rain chances in our forecast, and temperatures continue to climb. We'll take a look at that full forecast here in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks, Chris. An Arkansas judge strikes down the state's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender minors. The judge ruled the ban unconstitutional, and it is the first ruling to overturn such a prohibition as a growing number of Republican-led states adopt similar restrictions. U.S. District Judge Jay Moody issues a permanent injunction against the Arkansas law. which would have prohibited doctors from providing gender-affirming hormone treatment, puberty blocker, or surgery to anyone under 18. The law also would have prohibited doctors from referring patients elsewhere for such care. Arkansas's ban was the first in the nation of its kind. When Moody's order, he ruled that the prohibition violated the due process and equal protection rights of transgender youth and families. He said the law also violated the First Amendment rights of medical providers by prohibiting them from referring patients elsewhere. The ruling affects only the Arkansas ban, but may carry implications for the fates of similar prohibitions or discourage attempt to enact them in other states. A proposed constitutional amendment to restore abortion rights in Missouri will move forward. On Tuesday, a judge broke a standoff between two Republican officials that had halted the process. The judge ordered Attorney General Andrew Bailey to approve fellow Republican auditor Scott Fitzpatrick's estimated $51,000 price tag on the proposal within 24 hours. Bailey argued it would cost the state as much as 10 million times more because of lost Medicaid funding or revenue that would not be collected from people who otherwise would be born. If approved by voters, the proposal would enshrine in the state constitution the individual right to make decisions about abortion, childbirth, and birth control. Kansas officials agree not to enforce a new restriction on medication abortions. The restrictions will not be enforced for at least 5 weeks. A state court judge will eventually decide a lawsuit challenging the restriction and other existing rules. For now, providers will not have to tell patients that they can stop a medication abortion using a regimen that providers and major medical groups consider unproven and potentially dangerous. The new rule was set to take effect July 1st. Well, the frantic search for a missing submersible in the North Atlantic has ratcheted up as officials from the U.S. and Canada hurry to save the 5 passengers on board. Jared Hill has the latest on the search as we also learn more about the people believed to be missing.
The U.S. Coast Guard says underwater noises have been detected in the search area as researchers race to find a submersible that disappeared Sunday while exploring the wreckage of the Titanic.
Our crews are working around the clock to ensure that we are doing everything possible to locate the Titan and the 5 crew members.
Authorities say the OceanGate vessel, dubbed Titan, had enough oxygen to last around 96 hours when it left. Now, after more than 2 days, that supply is dwindling. A military vessel able to dive 6,000 meters joined the search, but experts say spotting the Titan won't be easy.
There are not really efficient ways to survey the seafloor and find it.
This isn't the first time OceanGate Expeditions has made the trip, but CBS News is learning that in 2018, a group of leaders in the submersible industry sent the company a letter warning of possible catastrophic problems with its submersible and a planned mission to the Titanic wreckage. Simpsons showrunner and podcaster Mike Reese took the Titan to the site almost a year ago.
Before you even get on, you sign this long waiver that mentions possible death 3 times on the first page.
On board this mission, British adventurer Hamish Harding, Pakistani-British businessman Shahzada Dawood, and his 19-year-old son Suleiman, Paul-Henri Nargeolet, a former diver with the French Navy, and OceanGate CEO Stockton Rush. Jared Hill, CBS News.
The U.S. Coast Guard says that since the submersible went missing, U.S. and Canadian military units have searched a combined area of about 7,600 square miles. That's an area larger than the state of Connecticut. To be the first to see breaking news, weather, and sports, you can download the KOAM News app. It's available free of charge in the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Just search for the KOAM News app. On Tuesday, the Langston Hughes Cultural Society educated people on the famed poet's ties to Joplin. The society hosted a presentation by historian Bill Martin, who is researching the site of a now demolished Joplin home where Hughes was born in 1901. The building was demolished in the 50s, but the site still holds cultural significance to the city. Martin says he will continue to research Hughes online.
Well, that's what I did, and within 1 minute, anyone that would like, all they have to do is go to Kansas Historical Society, type in Langston Hughes, 1900, and the first article it'll bring up is Carrie Hughes' article of July of 1900, and she talks about Joplin.
Today, a team of archaeologists from Missouri Southern will conduct a geophysical survey at the site to search for clues about the home. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, one young woman heads to Washington to advocate for pediatric hospitals.
It's Family Advocacy Day. I'm Danya Backus with how a young double organ transplant recipient is using her voice to help others.
Plus, Hunter Biden pleads guilty to 2 misdemeanor charges and 1 charge of felony gun possession. We'll hear the reaction from both sides of the political aisle. And Chris returns with another look at your complete forecast and if the coming of summer means temperatures will only climb higher in the 4 states. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. But first, here's a live look from Schifferdecker Park, because it's National Skateboarding Day.
During the 4th of July sale on now at Furniture Row.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, President Biden made an unexpected comparison while talking about Chinese President Xi Jinping in California. The president compared his Chinese counterpart to dictators during a political fundraiser Tuesday night. He was discussing how the Chinese leader reacted to the U.S. shooting down a much publicized Chinese spy balloon earlier this year. Biden's unscripted remarks come during a tense time in relations between the U.S. and China. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said Monday he had made progress in repairing the fractured relationship during a recent trip to Beijing. But Biden noted Tuesday improving the relationship would, quote, take time. After President Biden's son, Hunter Biden, and the U.S. attorney in Delaware agreed to a plea deal, congressional Republicans say their investigations will continue. Hunter agreed to enter pleas on tax charges and avoid prosecution on a separate gun charge, which Republicans say is just a slap on the wrist. Jared Hill has more.
New political fallout amid legal woes for Hunter Biden. President Biden's son is pleading guilty to 2 misdemeanor counts of willful failure to pay federal income tax on annual earnings in excess of $1.5 million, while a 3rd count, possession of a handgun by a drug user, would be dismissed if Hunter Biden remains drug-free and commits no additional crimes during a specified period of time. A source familiar says Biden's legal team expects probation, but not jail time.
If you were the president's leading political opponent, the DOJ tries to literally put you in jail and give you prison time. If you are the president's son, you get a sweetheart deal.
David Weiss, the U.S. attorney in Delaware who led the probe, was appointed by then-President Trump and left in place by the Biden administration. But congressional Republicans claim the agreement shows a double standard, as a Trump-appointed judge set an August trial date in the case related to his handling of classified documents. In California Tuesday, President Biden responded to questions about Hunter's plea.
I'm very proud of my son.
While the legal chapter may be done for Hunter Biden, Republicans leading the House Oversight Committee say their investigation into the Biden family's foreign business dealings is far from over. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Well, the judge still has to accept the plea agreement. A date has not been set for Hunter Biden's surrender. In the wake of recent violations, the NFL has set 6 new rules to prohibit gambling on football players. Under the new rules announced Tuesday, players will not be allowed to bet on NFL games or allow someone to place bets for them. They will not be allowed to gamble at the team facility or while traveling or staying at a team hotel. Players will be prohibited from sharing inside information with anyone or even entering a sports book during the season. And finally, the NFL players will not even be allowed to play fantasy football. Crackdown comes after several players have been disciplined for gambling. Wisconsin deputy went beyond the normal call of duty to rescue a giant anaconda. Somehow the pet reptile had escaped and ended up on the roof of its owner's house and shrieked upon arrival. Deputies were able to improvise with some garden tools to recapture the giant snake. South African species can reach 22 feet in length. An expert at the University of Minnesota says anacondas this big are not normally kept as household pets. Gee, I wonder why. Neither the snake nor the deputies were harmed in the incident. That's a look at some of today's top national stories. Here's Chris with a look at your forecast.
Yeah, we're starting out across the area with some clear skies and a sunny start to the day, but we are watching thunderstorms out to the west. Now, they're expected to just kind of clip Elk and Chautauqua counties, but we'll keep an eye on them for you. We'll talk about our full forecast and just how hot the first day of summer is going to be when the KOAM Morning News returns.
The right price.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News, now 6:18 on this Wednesday morning. So we've got this batch of thunderstorms out to the west. You can see how quickly this all went up out there. And we do have a severe thunderstorm watch. This is west of I-35. And we have that severe thunderstorm warning for this particular cell out in south central Kansas. This activity is expected to eventually begin to weaken. Now, it will still bring some showers and even a couple of thunderstorms to Elk and Chautauqua counties, but it is expected to weaken. However, we'll keep an eye on it for you. You know how Mother Nature is. She likes to throw us curveballs sometimes, but it is expected to start to die down. Shouldn't be strong or severe by the time it gets down into our neck of the woods. So let's talk about what happens later today. We're going to have increasing clouds. We'll go partly mostly cloudy through today. We got those thunderstorm chances. Again, Elk, Chautauqua County out there. We could see some of them even skirt into Montgomery County and into Newada and Washington County in northeast Oklahoma. Could be a few stray showers, but again, the bulk of the activity is going to stay well to the west of the area. So unfortunately, the majority of us stay dry, we stay hot, and we'll have those partly to mostly cloudy skies. You may be thinking, oh, hey, great, some cloud cover. That's not going to stop our temperatures from getting really toasty again today, unfortunately. Right now, MoDOT camera, 20th and Rangeline. You can see we've got the sunshine out there. We've got clear skies, and it is going to begin to warm up rather quickly again today. KDOT camera, east 520th Avenue and Highway 69, looking good as well this morning. Our camera at 7th and Rangeline, here comes the sun. Nice colors out there, and as you can see, clear skies. Sitting at 67, dew point up there at 61, humidity 81%. And like it's been the last couple of days, they're not going to go up significantly, so they're not going to be oppressive by any means, but they're going to be just high enough to continue to make it uncomfortable as we head into the afternoon. All right, Iola, the cool spot at 61. The warm spot, as we look all around here, is still Neodesha at 70. We got 69 Parsons, Chanute, 66 Chetopa, Miami, 65 Pittsburgh, Lamar, and we're sitting at 68 in Neosho and Monette. So as we get our morning started, again, we're starting with those clear skies, then clouds from that activity out west will gradually increase across the area. We'll go partly mostly cloudy by late morning, but warm again, mid-80s. That means highs today also hot for the first day of summer as we go upper 80s, low 90s. These thunderstorm chances, again, primarily for Elk and Chautauqua County. We don't want to forget about our viewers out to the west, but unfortunately, again, the rest of us just going to remain dry and hot out there. So here's the deal. You know, in the wintertime, the clouds act as a kind of a thermal blanket. So if we have a somewhat mild day, they help trap in some of that heat overnight and keep it a little bit warmer overnight in the winter. Well, unfortunately, they do that same thing in the summertime, and that's what's going to happen as we head into this evening. So shower storms out to our west come to an end about 9 o'clock or so, but with the cloudy skies for the rest of us, traps in some of that heat. So we're still at 90 at 6, 86 by 8, and 77 by 10. Now, eventually, we'll start to go partly cloudy. That'll release some of that heat, and we'll still be mild, though, upper 60s near 70 for our overnight lows. So let's take a look down the road tomorrow. Not too bad. Upper 80s, partly cloudy. Low 90s return as we head into the weekend and the start of next week. Got some isolated thunderstorm chances for us on Friday, and then we have slightly better chances, and I mean slightly better scattered storm chances Saturday evening into Sunday morning, and then they return again Sunday evening, and again, still staying hot. We go into next week. Low, mid, even upper 90s out there, and some rain chances Wednesday and Thursday. We'll be back with Health Watch right after this.
And grow. Integris Health, partnering with people to live healthier lives.
Topping Health Watch this morning, people with severely blocked arteries may want to avoid exercising because it could lead to a stroke. Researchers in India used a computer model to simulate blood flow. They found exercise stresses and narrowing in the artery. And for those with mild to high blockage, that stress can cause the artery to rupture and send plaque to the brain. But as expected, they also saw that exercise improves the health of simulated arteries when there was no slight or no blockage. National Task Force is recommending adults 19 to 64 years old be checked for depression and anxiety disorders. The U.S. Preventative Services Task Force is an independent panel of experts who make recommendations to help primary care clinicians treat patients. The group says depression and anxiety disorders are often unrecognized by doctors, and it takes years for treatment to begin. Left untreated, they can lead to other health problems and an increased risk of death. Eating disorders and self-harm among 13 to 16-year-old girls in the United Kingdom rose during the pandemic. Eating disorders were 42% higher and self-harm was 38% higher. That's according to a study published in the Lancet Child and Adolescent Health Journal. Researchers are calling for increased mental health services for teens as well to reduce these issues from continuing into adulthood. Families across the country are in Washington, D.C. on this Family Advocacy Day to share their stories and educate lawmakers about the role of children's hospitals. Danya Bacchus spoke to a 15-year-old with a rare pediatric kidney disease who is using her voice to advocate for others.
Kyrie Ramirez is now a thriving 15-year-old, but she'll tell you it's been a journey getting to this point.
I don't think I really had the perception that I was sick really until the point where I was in the hospital and they were like, you have kidney and liver failure.
During a routine physical when she was 8, doctors discovered Kyrie had a swollen spleen.
When the ultrasound and the blood work came in, the doctor called us to her office and told us to rush her to emergency to Children's Hospital.
Kyrie came here to Children's Hospital Los Angeles, where she was diagnosed with a congenital kidney disorder that also affects the liver.
The only treatment over time is actually replacement of those organs with an organ transplant.
Dr. Rachel Lest is the medical director of pediatric kidney transplantation.
For Kyrie, actually, her kidney disease progressed to the point of her needing help with her kidney function fairly quickly. She ended up starting on hemodialysis.
After nearly 3 years on dialysis, at the age of 11, Kyrie had an 18-hour life-saving kidney and liver transplant. As part of Family Advocacy Day in Washington, D.C., Kyrie and her father are sharing their story with members of Congress.
I think it's really important to me that I advocate for people because I really just want to give a voice to people.
A voice she says wouldn't be possible without the treatment she received at her pediatric hospital. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Kyrie is approaching 4 years since having the double transplant. She'll have to be on medication for the rest of her life in order to make sure her organs are functioning. Because of her experience, she now wants to have a career in pediatrics. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a sunny and clear start, a mild start out there as well. However, clouds are going to increase, and we're watching this thunderstorm complex way out to our west that could bring a couple of thunderstorms to Elk and Chautauqua County later today. We'll have more on your full forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Right now at 6:30, a residential treatment center for teens in Joplin gets a new addition. 13 months in the making. It's called the Hope Cottage.
We've got ourselves a sunny and mild start across the 4 states. Clouds will increase, temperatures will increase for our first day of summer, and at least a few of us may see some thunderstorms. Take a look at that forecast coming up.
And KOAM's Anthony Saviolo has some tips from the experts on how you and your family can stay safe and still have fun during the fireworks season.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. So we've got a pretty mild start across the area. We also have some thunderstorms way out to our west, and they'll eventually affect at least a few of us later today. The one thing that's going to affect all of us, though, is the hot temperatures for this first day of summer. They will return again, and they're going to stay that way. So here's that batch of thunderstorms out to the west of Wichita. You can see a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings. We have that severe thunderstorm watch, again, well to our west, and then some stronger storms just to the north around the Hutchinson area. area and moving into Salina. Now, these thunderstorms are expected to begin to weaken, and we're not anticipating any strong or severe storms in our area, but these same thunderstorms will eventually clip parts of Elk and Chautauqua counties later this afternoon and into the evening. So as we go later into the day, here we are about 4 or 5 o'clock. You see those thunderstorms out there again, Elk, Chautauqua counties. We could get a few stray showers in parts of, say, Montgomery County and maybe into Washington and Nowata counties in northeast Oklahoma, but that's really going to be about it. The main focus is going to be far to the west. The rest of us, though, will get in on some cloud cover later today, and that will not really do much for our temperatures. It'll just, block the sun a little bit. 20th and Rangeline, MoDOT camera there looking great as the sun comes up, and same from the KDOT camera at 69 Highway and East 520th Avenue. There's the sunrise this morning, and it's right behind me there. 67 in Joplin, dew point humidity we've been talking about, they're up. There's, again, not to an oppressive level, but just enough to make it uncomfortable out there. We're going 60 in Fort Scott now is the cool spot. 70 Neodesha Independence, 64 Miami, and 68 Neosho. We get our morning started. Again, we're starting sunny. Clouds will increase, partly mostly cloudy by late morning, mid-80s. Highs today, upper 80s, low 90s again, so hot out there, partly mostly cloudy, and then those thunderstorm chances for Elk and Chautauqua counties and maybe a little bit into Washington and Nowata counties. We'll have more on your complete forecast and some additional rain chances down the road here in a few more minutes. Tanya?
All right, thanks, Chris. The Carthage Water and Electric Plant Board calls the City Council's decision to dissolve the board unlawful. The council held an emergency meeting last Thursday to remove the board members from their positions. Council says the board violated a city ordinance that regulates the authority of the board to create employee positions and assign salaries. On Monday, the board released a statement saying they believed the decision was unlawful and that they will remain in their positions. Cleanup continues for some Joplin residents after high winds lashed the region over the weekend. The city's Public Works opened its free tree limb drop-off site this week. It'll be open from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. starting yesterday and going all the way through Friday. It's at 1702 North Schifferdecker Avenue. The city says another option for residents is to bundle limbs and branches, cut to 4-foot maximum length, and place them on the curb on their trash service day. On Tuesday, Missouri lit the fuse on fireworks sales, with sales in Kansas to follow next week. KOAM's Anthony Saviolo has some tips about how to make sure you're staying safe when lighting fireworks this year.
America's birthday is coming up, which also means fireworks season. While these displays may bring joy and amusement, they can also bring harm.
Well, first off, they need to make sure that they're shooting their fireworks in a safe area, make sure they're a safe distance away from a home, vehicles, structures, things of that nature.
So, how do you keep fireworks from, well, starting a fire?
I would make sure that if they're going to be shooting in a grass area, to wet it down with water prior to shooting the fireworks, and then put something down that's a hard surface to shoot the fireworks on in that area as well, and then also wet that down.
And what recommendations do the retailers have?
It's really important to wear safety glasses, goggles, make sure that we're putting out the cake after we're done with water. Even sparklers, I think that they can be dangerous if they're still lit. If your child has it, dunk it in a bucket of water just to keep that in mind.
So, now that we have our information, it's time to put it to the test. So we're back at the KOAM news station. We have our bucket here of water filled up and ready to use in case of emergency. Right here I have some cinder blocks where we will place a firework cake in between so that way it can stay secure. We'll also use our water to wet down our area so that way in case of emergency we can be prepared. So we've made sure that the area that we're detonating our fireworks is completely wet, and right now I also have a punk because it's safer to use these than an actual handheld lighter. And by the recommendation of the fireworks store, I got myself some safety glasses here. So we're gonna set this down, we're gonna slide off this, and we're gonna get to a safe distance and watch these things go. So now that we've detonated our fireworks, we're gonna let it sit and cool. Then we're gonna properly dispose of it into our bucket of water, and we're gonna light off some more. So this 4th of July, make sure to stay safe and stay responsible. Reporting outside KOAM news station, I'm Anthony Saviello, KOAM News.
Nice job, Anthony. You can find more safety tips on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com or by downloading the KOAM News app. You can also read the fireworks ordinances for both Joplin and Pittsburgh. Well, ain't no party like a Pittsburgh party. On Tuesday, the city of Pittsburgh celebrated 620 Day, as in the area code and the date. And last night, the big event was a block party in the area of 2nd and Broadway. It included food, music, vendors, a car show, and more activities along the street and inside the Pritchett Pavilion.
It's really good. It feels good to do something that people enjoy, something that brings families together, something that brings businesses from all over the community together. It's just a great opportunity for us to think about working together for the betterment of our city and our local businesses.
Officials say the purpose of the event is to cultivate pride and celebrate the Pittsburgh community. 620 Day wasn't just a celebration for the residents of the city. Local businesses made the most of the event as well. More than 15 businesses in Pittsburgh Tuesday afternoon joined in the celebration. Pittsburgh stores offered deals to residents and visitors, from 20% off to buy one, get one half off. Business owners said this is a good way to give back to the community and bring people to their doors.
I just like to do anything that I can reach out to our community and help out in any way. You know, it's important being part of the downtown.
Seems like the downtown is growing and growing and growing, and the city and the community support is, you can't even put any words to it.
The 620 Day celebration continued into the night with a block party, as we just showed you. Tuesday, Turnaround Ranch in Joplin unveiled its newest addition, the Hope Cottage. It took 13 months to build, and officials say it's one of the most sleek and modern residential treatment facilities for children in Missouri. Hope Cottage resembles a single-family home and is meant to provide a safe and comfortable place to live for kids ages 13 to 18. Each resident has their own bedroom along with individual use bathrooms.
Access to get into the rooms has a key access, but to get out, the doors are freely opened. And so it allows that when they go in, they can come out as they wish, but it keeps other kids from being able to get into their rooms, damage their stuff and things of that nature, which helps to increase their own privacy, their own security, their own sense of their own space.
2 additional cottages are planned, one this year and another next year. That's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, the road to the future looks to be fueled by EV technology, but the biggest concern continues to be battery life.
And we've got ourselves a sunny start to the day, but we've got increasing clouds, increasing temperatures, and for some of us, increasing rain chances. Taking a look at that forecast when we come back. But first, got ourselves another live look from Schifferdecker Park in Joplin, as today is National Skateboarding Day. We'll be right back.
Bar H Cattle Meat Store in Joplin, Missouri.
In Consumer Watch this morning, Rivian is the latest electric vehicle maker to reach a deal to adopt Tesla's Charger standard, which will give owners access to Tesla's network of roughly 12,000 charging stations in North America by spring of 2024. The company will begin manufacturing vehicles with Tesla's charging plug in 2025, though adapters will be available next year. Yesterday, the New York State Legislature passed a law that would give legal protections to New York doctors who prescribe and mail abortion medication to states with strict laws banning abortion. Comes nearly a year after the U.S. Supreme Court's Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health Organization ruling, which overturned Roe v. Wade. The bill now heads to New York Governor Kathy Hochul's desk. And sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of sausage links, saying they may be contaminated with plastic fibers. Wisconsin companies recalling some Better with Cheddar links after at least one person found thin strands of black plastic. The impacted products were made on January 26. No illnesses have been reported. Owners of electric vehicles made by Ford and General Motors will soon be able to use many of Tesla's charging stations, the largest such network in the country. One of the main concerns for many potential EV drivers are batteries running out of charge. Chris Van Cleve shows us how drivers are starting to get over range anxiety.
In the year since Chris Ashley from Frederick, Maryland first plugged into his new electric Ford F-150, his fears of running out of juice disappeared.
It's foolish to think that you won't have range anxiety in the beginning. However, the more you drive the vehicle, the more you start to learn how to plan your trips and how to charge and when to charge.
2/3 of drivers worried about not having enough range prior to their vehicle purchase, but after owning an EV, that dropped to 30%, according to a recent Canadian survey. One reason, better battery technology coupled with more vehicle options. This Lucid sedan claims over 500 miles per charge, but its nearly $140,000 price tag is a budget buster. The University of Delaware found 1 in 4 could do all their driving in an EV with a range of just 143 miles with the help of a home charger.
On average, EVs are getting around 250 or even up to 300 miles of range. That is a totally appropriate amount for the amount of driving most people do.
Alex Nizick from our partners at Consumer Reports.
As far as range anxiety goes, we're really starting to see charging anxiety be the more prominent issue. Chargers are less available than gas stations.
There are nearly 54,000 publicly available fast charging stations nationwide. The majority are along the coasts, and several states have fewer than 100. Those chargers are vital for longer drives, providing an 80% charge in as little as 20 minutes. But the average fuel stop is closer to 2 minutes. Ford Mustang Mach-E lead engineer Donna Dixon says that has to change.
It comes down to how quick can you stop, like a gas station stop, to charge it. We have to come together and make that infrastructure so we can get more people in these vehicles and feel comfortable with it.
Chris Ashley is charged up for a summer road trip, hoping range anxiety stays in his rear view. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Detroit.
That's it for Consumer Watch. Here's Chris with another look at your forecast.
Yeah, we're continuing to watch these storms out to our west. They are strong, they are even severe, and there's a severe thunderstorm watch, but you can take a look. They're still well to our west. Now, they're expected to weaken as they move into our area, but they could still provide a couple of thunderstorms for Elk and Chautauqua counties in southeast Kansas, so we'll keep an eye on this batch for you. We will have more on your full forecast in just a moment. We've also made it to the midpoint of the week, and that sounds like a perfect reason to celebrate with some birthdays and anniversaries. They're coming up after the break. But first, as my voice cracks, why don't we see what's happening on CBS Mornings?
Hello to you, I'm Gail King. Coming right up on CBS Mornings, Wildfang CEO, that's Emma McElroy right there, talks about breaking gender barriers in fashion in our Changing the Game series. Changing the Game is right. That's coming right up on CBS Mornings.
All right, time for some Wednesday birthdays here in the 4 states, and we will begin in Weir, Kansas, with Samantha Dietz celebrating number 16. Happy birthday, Samantha.
All right, and then we have Amber Dietz as well celebrating in Pittsburgh. Amber is 29 years old.
And we've got Barbara Jones over in Columbus celebrating another year wiser. Happy birthday, Barbara.
And Chad and Candace Harris are celebrating their 20th anniversary today. Congratulations to the Harrises in Jasper, Missouri.
And our very own Karina Moran, a news and production assistant here at KOAM, celebrating a birthday today. A very happy birthday to you, Karina.
All right, Gladys Brannon turning 80 years old today in Bronat, Missouri.
And Diane DePlew celebrating a birthday in Frontenac. Happy birthday, Diane.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Chris Burr is turning 47 years old in Lamar.
All right, well, we love celebrating birthdays and anniversaries. This list, not as long as we'd like to see it, and we want it to be longer. Tanya, how can they help us?
All they have to do is send us an email with all the information and the pictures for both anniversaries and birthdays to this address, birthdayswithanS@KOAMnewsnow.com.
And of course, while you're on our website, make sure you take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. It is easy to do. You get great deals from local businesses. Additionally, you get a special birthday message from your friends here at KOAM. So head over to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for that birthday club today. All right, let's talk about what's going on this morning and what's expected throughout the day. We're watching this batch of showers and thunderstorms. They're strong to severe, and we do have a severe thunderstorm watch well to our west. Now, the expectation is these will begin to weaken as they continue to shift off to the east-southeast as we go through the morning into the afternoon. Of course, Mother Nature likes to be a little crazy with us sometimes, so we'll keep a very close eye on this batch, but it is expected to weaken as it gets a little closer to us, and we're not anticipating at this point any strong or severe thunderstorms in our area. But it's this batch that will eventually lead to some thunderstorms clipping parts of Elk and Chautauqua counties as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. Let's take a look down the road. We go into the evening around 4 or 5 o'clock. We'll start to see those showers and thunderstorms just clipping Elk and Chautauqua counties. Could get a few showers into parts of Montgomery County, back into Nowata and Washington counties in northeast Oklahoma. Another little batch of some showers, maybe a couple of rumbles of thunder rolling in later in the evening as well. And then after that, that clears out. So unfortunately, we're not talking widespread rain at this point. The majority of us stay dry, we stay hot, and we'll have partly to mostly cloudy skies from those storms out to the west. MoDOT camera, 20th and range line, not partly or mostly cloudy yet. We've got plentiful sunshine out there and clear skies. We're getting the same from the KDOT camera at 69 and East 520th Avenue, of course, just south of Pittsburgh. Our camera at 7th and range line. Here comes the sun. We've got those clear skies. We're mild, 67. Dew point up there, humidity up there a bit. And again, like it's been the last couple of days, they won't be oppressively high, but they'll be just high enough to make it really uncomfortable later today. All right. Fort Scott taking over as the cool spot at 61, 70 Chanute, Neodesha, 69 Parsons, 66 Miami, and 68 Neosho and Carthage. As we get our morning started, we'll have those sunny skies. It's a given at this point, but the storms to the west will have some clouds blowing off of them, and that will increase our cloud cover as we go through the morning. We'll go partly to mostly cloudy. Unfortunately, the clouds don't do much to keep our temperatures down, still heading for the mid-80s by late morning. We'll have another look at your forecast for the rest of today, the week ahead, and a check of the news you need to know right after this.
And durable flooring at the right price? Check.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. Proposed constitutional amendment to restore abortion rights in Missouri moves forward. On Tuesday, a judge broke a standoff between two Republican officials that had halted the process. If approved by voters, the proposal would enshrine in the state constitution the individual right to make decisions about abortion, childbirth, and birth control. Kansas officials agree not to enforce a new restriction on medication abortions. The restrictions will not be enforced for at least 5 weeks. For now, providers will not have to tell patients that they can stop a medication abortion using a regimen that providers and major medical groups consider unproven and potentially dangerous. Well, Turnaround Ranch in Joplin unveils the Hope Cottage. It took 13 months to build. Hope Cottage resembles a single-family home and is meant to provide a safe and comfortable place to live for kids ages 13 to 18. Each resident has their own bedroom along with individual use bathrooms. And the Langston Hughes Cultural Society gave folks a lesson on the famed poet's ties to Joplin. On Tuesday, the society hosted a presentation by historian Bill Martin, who is researching the site of a now demolished Joplin home that Hughes was born in 1901. The site was demolished in the 1950s, but still holds cultural significance to the city. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
As we head into the afternoon and evening hours, some thunderstorms possible for Elk, Chautauqua, Washington, Nowata counties. Outside of that, the rest of us will go partly, mostly cloudy and still hot, upper 80s, low 90s. We head into the evening, the storms out west will die out, say around 8, 9 o'clock tonight, and will be mild, warm through the evening and mild overnight as we go back into the upper 60s. We look down the road, upper 80s tomorrow, partly cloudy, some isolated storm chances Friday, a few more scattered storm chances into the weekend, and temperatures return back into the low 90s.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making summer's best slaw in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. More than 10,000 Ukrainians have lost a limb during Russia's bloody invasion. Ahead on CBS Mornings, see the new state-of-the-art clinic for prosthetics and rehabilitation and how wounded Ukrainian warriors are learning to walk again.
Or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues. And this morning, Will Morris from the K-State Extension Service is stopping by to tell us everything that you need to know about the upcoming fair season in Kansas.
Plus, Our Veterans First invites you out to the Band for Brothers event in Seneca, where you can rock out for a good cause. We'll have the details on that. That's going to wrap it up for us for now, though. We will see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we'll see you again today at noon.